you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
As we're dealing with anti-DEI, anti-woke efforts, we understand this administration is thinking about celebrating Black History Month. Have you got any word on that? Anything that you can offer to us?
The president talked a lot yesterday about hiring the best and the brightest to work in the federal government. Safety aside, does he believe that disabled people do have a place to work in the federal government? And does he also support the current protections for...
Look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people deserve.
But is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience, like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors...
The media walked into that press room thinking they had Karoline Leavitt cornered. But oh man, did that backfire. Instead of catching her off guard, they ended up exposing their own weak narratives while she tore through them with confidence. And get this, it was her first press briefing as Trump's press secretary. Imagine stepping into the ring for the first time and already leaving your opponent stumbling. At one point, a reporter tried to hit her with the usual diversity and inclusion angle, expecting her to fumble. No, Leavitt hit back with a response so direct, so unapologetically factual, the room practically froze. It was the kind of moment that reminded everyone of Morgan Freeman's legendary take on Black History Month. Simple, but powerful. And then came Joy Behar, because of course she had to throw in her 2 cents, but Leavitt wasn't having it. She clapped back so smoothly it was like watching someone reject an overused pickup line. Effortless and honestly, kinda satisfying. Leavitt might be new to the job, but she's making it clear she's not here to play defense. She's flipping the script, calling out media bias in real time, and making reporters work way harder than they're used to. So today, we're breaking down her best moments, the ones that left journalists scrambling for a comeback. And trust me, you're gonna wanna see this.
When you're up here in this briefing room speaking to the American public, do you view yourself and your role as advocating on behalf of the president, or providing the unvarnished truth that is, not to lie, not to obfuscate to the American people?
I commit to telling the truth from this podium every single day. I commit to speaking on behalf of the President of the United States. That is my job. And I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that. But since you brought up Truth Seek, I would like to point out, while I vowed to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong or there is misinformation about this White House. So yes, I will hold myself to the truth, and I expect everyone in this room to do this.
10 minutes. That's all it took for Karoline Leavitt to show the press she wasn't here to play nice. If they thought they could rattle her, they were in for a rude awakening. At just 27 years old, she's already made history as the youngest ever White House press secretary under Trump. A position she didn't just stumble into, she earned it straight up. Leavitt isn't some political rookie who lucked into the job. She's been in the trenches. She studied communications and political science at St. Anselm College in New Hampshire, basically training for moments like this from the start. And if her name sounds familiar, that's because she's been in the game for a while. She worked side by side with Kayleigh McEnany as an assistant press secretary, learning firsthand how to take on the mainstream media and come out on top. Oh, and she's not afraid to take a fight to the ballot box either. Back in 2022, she ran for Congress, took down a Reno in the primaries, and while she didn't clinch the seat, she proved she's a rising force in conservative politics. Losing that race didn't slow her down. It just made her more determined. And now, she's standing at the podium, setting the tone, and making it very clear that the media better bring their A game. Because she definitely is.
As we're dealing with anti-DEI, anti-woke efforts, we understand this administration is thinking about celebrating Black History Month. Have you got any word on that? Anything that you can offer to us?
As far as I know, this White House certainly still intends to celebrate, and we will continue to celebrate American history and the contributions that all Americans, regardless of race, religion, or creed, have made to our great country, and America is back.
Karoline Leavitt has only held 2 press briefings so far, and already the media is laser focused on one thing: DEI programs. It's like they came in with a game plan, hoping to catch her slipping. Spoiler alert, that didn't happen. At one point, she dropped a response that gave Major Morgan Freeman vibes. You know, the moment when he called Black History Month an insult? His point was simple. Why confine history to just 1 month when it's part of American history as a whole? Leavitt's take wasn't word for word the same, but the message? Crystal clear. Of course, the press wasn't satisfied. They kept poking, twisting, rewording, basically doing everything they could to create a gotcha moment. But Leavitt? Unshaken. She didn't just push back, she shut it down with pure logic, leaving the media with nothing but their own narratives to cling to. And honestly, watching it all play out was chef's kiss, pure entertainment.
The president talked a lot yesterday about hiring the best and the brightest to work in the federal government. Safety aside, does he believe that disabled people do have a place to work in the federal government? And does he also support the current protections for disabled people working in the private sector as well?
The president has made it very clear that this is a common sense solution to solving some of the problems that we have seen at the Federal Aviation Administration, and also when it comes to many of the federal agencies across our government. People should not be hired based on their disabilities, based on their skin color, their gender, their race. None of that matters. What matters to this president and this administration is how well you can do your job, and the American people agree with that sentiment. So it's about competence, skill, and merit. And so the president is focused on ensuring that the most competent individuals, the best and the brightest in this country, are in positions in this federal government, especially when it comes to public safety. Can't overemphasize the importance of those jobs.
Karoline Leavitt isn't here to entertain conspiracy theories, she's here to speak common sense. But unfortunately, that seems to be too much for the mainstream media, which often prioritizes victimhood narratives over personal responsibility. During one of her briefings, reporters kept circling back to the same worn-out questions, pushing identity-based agendas instead of focusing on merit and qualifications. Leavitt, however, wasn't having it. She made it clear, if you're qualified for a job, you deserve it, period. Take Stephen Hawking, for example. Despite his disability, he became one of the greatest theoretical physicists of all time. True achievement isn't about labels, it's about capability. And when the media refused to drop the issue, Leavitt shut it down once and for all.
I think just to put a fine point on this, because this is the 3rd or 4th question I've answered on this subject, when you are flying on an airplane with your loved ones, which every one of us in this room has, do you pray that your plane lands safely and gets you to your destination, or do you pray that the pilot has a certain skin color? I think we all know the answer to that question, and as President Trump said yesterday, it's common sense.
And of course, Joy Behar just couldn't resist. She took a cheap shot at Karoline Leavitt, claiming she only landed the press secretary gig because, get this, she's a so-called 10 in Trump's eyes. Yeah, that's the angle she went with. Classic projection if I've ever seen it. Now, some might say Behar's comment was downright sexist, because let's be real, if a conservative had said that about a liberal woman, the outrage would be deafening. But honestly, it just reeks of jealousy. While Leavitt is out here shutting down reporters with sharp, articulate responses, Behar and the rest of The View can't even get through a single segment without contradicting themselves. And if anyone's still questioning Karoline's skills, they just need to check out her Good Morning America appearance. She was handed a loaded question, the kind designed to trip people up, and she dismantled it in seconds. It was a masterclass in handling the media, one that we're about to break down moment by moment. Stick around, this is gonna be good.
Look, we want people to return to work. We have beautiful federal office buildings here in Washington, D.C. that American taxpayers are paying for. They should be used. That's what the American people deserve.
But is there any concern that we risk losing people with years of experience like doctors and let's say scientists?
Well, most doctors who work in actual hospitals and medical institutions have to show up to the office. We know that employees are more productive and more efficient when they are working in an in-office environment, and that's what this administration expects, and I think that's what American taxpayers expect. Don't forget, it's the American people who are funding this government, and they deserve people who are actually showing up to work on their behalf.
Every time Karoline Leavitt takes the mic, it's like watching a pro dismantle the media's spin in real time. She's not just answering questions, she's flipping the entire conversation on its head. And let's be honest, the press isn't used to someone pushing back this hard. But it's not just reporters who got a reality check. Joe Biden wasn't off limits either. As she wrapped up her very first press briefing, she made sure to take a few strategic jabs at the president, making it crystal clear that the days of media coddling and scripted narratives are long gone. And the way she did it? Effortless, calm, direct, and with just the right amount of fire, like she was built for this moment. We're breaking down all the highlights, so don't go anywhere. This is the kind of political showdown you don't want to miss.
Well, in terms of programming,
Sounds
should we
fun.
expect to see you here every day? How frequently will these press briefings be?
It is a good question, April. So look, the president, as you know, is incredibly accessible. First day here, he wanted all of you in the Oval Office. You got a 60-minute press conference with the leader of the free world while he was simultaneously signing executive orders. I may add that's pretty impressive. I don't think the previous office holder would be able to pull such a thing off. So look, the president is the best spokesperson that this White House has, and I can assure you that you will be hearing from both him and me as much as possible.
Shots fired, no doubt about it. With Karoline Leavitt running the show as Trump's press secretary, the media is already struggling to keep up. And let's be real, it's only been a few days since Trump stepped back into office, but it already feels like we're in a completely different political era. Craig Shirley said it best, politics is motion and Donald Trump is a study in motion. The energy, the rapid-fire comebacks, the sheer dominance, we're watching it all unfold in real time. But now I want to hear from you. What do you think of Karoline's takedowns? Did she handle the media like a pro, or do you think there's more to come? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you're all about real, unfiltered reporting that doesn't bend to the mainstream narrative, hit that subscribe button and share this video with your friends. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.